I'm very excited about being here with you to kick off this Roof Over Our Head roundtable. And I think, Sheila, what I'm most excited about here is that we're not talking about a top-down imposition of a solution from some fancy think tank in the sky, but we're talking about informal communities and the women in those communities as empowered agents of change, not passive recipients. I know they can't do it on their own. I know we need a radical collaboration, as we always say, but I think it starts with recognizing the agency of involving those in the front line who are the most motivated to find solutions.
We have all these government, housing ministers, mayors. They come, they make promises on housings and on dealing with the challenges of the informal settlements. Every government comes, same pledges, same promises, none fulfilled. We just keep on shifting the goalposts in terms of providing solutions to poor people in informal settlements. How do we involve poor communities in their pursuit for affordable shelter, in the planning, in the design? How do we make them that own these processes for housing intervention?
We are working in 102 registered community associations of urban poor communities in the Philippines, occupying lands along coastlines, river embankment, flood-prone areas, lands below a power transmission line along railroad tracks. So those are the communities I represent, where the membership came from. There are communities that have been living in tents for more than 3 to 4 years because of an earthquake. And while they are living in the campsite, they experience strong typhoons every year. Do not get me wrong. We all want solutions that are based in science, but in our experience, most of the scientific solutions without the input of the most vulnerable groups tend to not fit our context. For us, it is very important that urban poor groups have a role to play, a very important role to play in finding solutions to problems, not just a beneficiary, but a collaborator.
From our view, the technology to improve housing is available. This is more of a process issue. It's a policy issue. It's a financing issue. We often say housing is a process, not a product. The building materials are there. The technologies are there. We've got to overcome these policy bottlenecks, facilitate access to financing, and always put people at the center, enable them to make decisions about materials and architecture and what's done with their home. We have launched the Climate Resilient Housing Initiative, a parallel initiative within the Race to Resilience. So we're really looking forward to integrating these two initiatives together, bringing, again, like you said, Sheila, a very unique and diverse group of stakeholders together, because I think that's what's needed to get this done, from banks to philanthropists, to homeowners themselves, to policymakers, to implementing agencies. I think we all need to get together on this to really make it scale and work in a very large way. So thanks very much for inviting me to join. And we're really excited to be part of this.
Sheila, I don't know if I have 30 seconds or so. I was struck by you talking about the campaign and where REAL might come to the fore and might be able to add value to it. It's around how do you bring in the private sector, bring this to scale with an investment opportunity. So I think we can bring that support that allows solutions to scale. And then fourthly, looking at solutions for a future growing population to really complement the focus that I'm hearing coming through of the upgrading and the improving resilience of existing settlements. So looking to the future as well as current situation.
The quality of housing is a super big issue, but I've heard great success stories from the advocacy angle, from the policy angle, and I guess if we get the right shifts in policies to enable and understand that there is no climate goal without addressing informality, there will be just bringing that awareness and bringing the arguments front and center. Many other countries will take inspiration. Cities will take inspiration, which they can act much quickly, but we do have a few success stories and we need much more. We need millions of those.
And I think the building material have a huge role to play in providing proper roofs on everyone's heads. But also what holds him is not just being the biggest building material company in the world. We are a bunch of countries, of operations in the countries. And I thought what Teresa said earlier, that we need to work with a local actor to understand the local solutions, was very important. And I think this is where also we can really contribute.
The foundation for everything we do has to be land tenure, ownership, and no evictions. If you don't get that right, everything else will fail. And that's been the big learning for me. 80% of the slum upgrading is done by the communities themselves. So once we've given them the land tenure, let's see how we can work with communities and with governments to facilitate that process. So a network like this, Roof Over Our Heads, a network like Cities Alliance, this is where the work needs to happen, where you get the coherence of effort across national governments, private sector, slum dwellers, innovators. So yes, we will absolutely support this initiative as another network.
I think this conversation and initiative gives me a lot of hope for planning, both as an academic discipline as well as a professional practice. In terms of both policies and practices, and academic institutions can be a good platform to do such kind of both training or knowledge exchange initiatives.
We're talking about this collaboration, not just within a particular sector or within a particular framing, but talking about bringing everyone together and really beginning to shift those development pathways at the sort of scale and speed that's needed. And then making it so much easier for those providing the finance to know where to put it. So we're offering large scale opportunities where finance can be put in at the sort of scale that's needed. And the collaborative effort, as it were, is about making sure that gets to the right places at the right times and being flexible and responsive to changing circumstances on the ground.
I agree with Greg that resilience is becoming more important because we know that climate impacts are felt most acutely in informal settlements.
The word everyone, everywhere is blowing my mind because this is something not easy to be achieved. And I do believe that the inclusivity of everyone, everywhere, especially that in a lot of areas in the MENA region, we are suffering from the informal settlements everywhere. And these people have the power to change their lives by their own hand. They just need our support and our help.
It definitely falls into the category of radical collaboration, which was the theme of the last COP. So really interested.
In Palestine, we can draw some attention to the people, to indigenous people living in some areas where they have to protect the land. Palestine have the occupation thing. If we have a voice in this, I would love to draw some attention to these people and how we can help them.
A lot of the consequences that will be faced as an effect of climate change will be faced in slums, in informal settlements. And it's a key priority for us in our research and innovation work stream to help ensure that they remain at the core of urban planning strategies, that they remain included.
I'm sure we all agree about the need to take a genuinely locally led approach. I think the flip side of that is, how do we do that at scale? So how do we take a locally led, locally appropriate approach and simultaneously tackle these challenges at scale?
Climate change is the most important thing for the floods in southern part and northern part of Yemen, in many ways, in hunger, climate change, food, poverty. We have to do it right way, our campaign for Yemen, and I hope all organizations will help on that. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I think one of the key challenges is how can engineers work with local communities, particularly engineers who work in the international development space, to really implement those local solutions that then the communities are going to make.
As you know, the current situation in Sudan is worsening with the political issues. So nowadays, we do have a lot of flood for villages, cities. So I call and I ask for experts for geology, for those engineering to support, but the system is very poor and very weak. So I would like to have a full packages, and I want international interventions, because every year we have the same problems. Every year we have the same issues.
A very, very deep thank you for all of you for the time you've spent reflecting on this situation and actually bringing the serious gravitas that this issue requires, but also acknowledging, as the last speaker said, that the real threat to the world are the conflicts and the wars and the ongoing global challenges that decimate every development investment that happens, which are further exacerbated by climate. And I think that the important thing for us to do is, first of all, acknowledge that we are already connected to each other, and we need to look at how to strengthen these bonds. But the important thing is, it's never going to come out of any one person's smart initiative. It's going to come out of this new transformatory partnership process, which we all have to learn together. So in the first year that we agree to play this anchor role, we look forward to engagement with you, to your ideas, to your possibilities, and bringing back to you what everybody else is doing.
But I'm also really excited. I just listened to the quality of leadership on this call. Let's use the climate lens and the climate resilience lens to elevate, which is a much bigger issue. This is not just about climate. This issue is about injustice. It's about power structures. It's about access to finance. But the climate resilience lens can be a great vector for more attention and more solutions. But I think we have a real opportunity between now and COP to build our collective story and have that story of the launch of the roof over our heads, of the need and the opportunity to be one of the big stories that comes out of COP27, and use that to launch a concerted effort of radical collaboration for the rest of the decade to make a difference with and for the lives of those most vulnerable in our urban environment. So Sheila and everybody here, thank you so much for all your big hearts, your big minds, and your pragmatic hands that you bring to this. I'm really excited to be working with you all to make this a success. Thank you.